Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Insol Crypt. Your Firepower Capital hosts are Elan Jacobson and myself, Stella Millis, where we have invited a few of the most talented and notable insolvency lawyers to share some of their insights and stories. Our guest this week is Sanj Mitra with Berlis. Sanj has had a diverse and successful insolvency career, and what Sanj is most known for is going the max for his clients. Sanj, welcome to the podcast. Very happy to have you on our show today. I know that you've handled everything from soup to nuts. You are a true bankruptcy lawyer, but why don't you give us a little more background about yourself?
Thanks, Stella. I'm a partner at the law firm of Berlis, which is a firm down in downtown Toronto. I'm part of the Front Financial Services Group. I've been a lawyer for about 26 years. I've been doing insolvency for about 24 of those 26 years. And I've done everything from big to small.
I think I've worked with you for 20 years, so yeah.
There you go. There you go.
So Sanj, you say 26 years in law, 24 in insolvency. So you spent 2 years not doing what you do now. How the hell do you land up in this spot?
Some of it's luck, some of it's unfortunate, but I'll tell you. So when I went to law undergrad, I happened to have a roommate. His father was an intellectual property lawyer, and I was going to be a doctor. I had taken sciences right through high school. Just taking it back to why I ended up as an insolvency lawyer, I was going to be an intellectual property lawyer because I was taking chemistry. I was going to Western undergrad, but and I found out that if you have a technical degree like a biology or chemistry degree, and you couple it with a law degree, you can become an intellectual property lawyer, and that's a great career. I graduated from law school in 1994. Back then, we were coming out of the 80s real estate recession. There were no jobs out there. And I had to go through the Yellow Pages. If people remember what the Yellow Pages were, I went through the Yellow Pages, and I was calling law firms to try and get an articling job. Ultimately, I got one with a small firm up in Woodbridge, and they did a variety of litigation. That was the only work that was out there, and I took it. I was looking for an opportunity, and this opportunity came up with this mid-sized firm in London, Ontario called Siskins, and they needed someone that could do bankruptcy work. Now, I didn't know much about bankruptcy, but I figured I'd give it a shot. I managed to talk my way into a job, and that was the turning point in my career because I started out and I was doing consumer insolvency. I had no experience with corporate, and basically I started doing consumer insolvency files. I was doing discharge hearings. At the time, a lot of the banks were opposing discharges when they found that there had been abuses of credit. And I used to go into the commercial list because back then the judges used to do the discharge hearings rather than the creditor opposed discharge hearings, rather than the registrars. And I started having some success. I got to know trustees. They started giving me work directly, and I started to develop a career. I would have stayed with Siskins. I left Siskins, and I had been recruited by a number of firms here in Toronto because I had started to develop a bit of a rep in Toronto. And Berlis had just been put on the Royal Bank list, and I ended up going to Berlis, and that was in 2005. And that was the best move that I've made in my career because it gave me the platform that allowed me to move, to get larger files, get a bigger bench strength, a bigger team with a bigger bench strength. And they were also in a period of transition because Aird was moving from a creditor or from a debtor focused insolvency firm to more of a creditor based firm. And my clients and my experience really helped me join that team and build it to what it is today, which is one of the bigger commercial insolvency shops from a creditor perspective in the city.
So Sanj, you talk very briefly about how business started coming to you. This is one of the things that we haven't discussed yet in the first two podcasts. But as you and I know, when I think about lawyers, there are phenomenally good lawyers that don't move up in their career because they don't move the needle, right? Like that's just a fact that to be a good lawyer by the legal standard, by the firm standard, it's about being a rainmaker, right? Like there is an importance as it relates to bringing in clients. So talk to me about why you think clients are coming to you, because clearly you had an aptitude for the business development side of it, which I think is fundamentally important for a lawyer to understand, is as important, if not more important, than your actual skill set.
Well, yeah, I think that like if you don't have a certain base ability to cope and address problems, you're never going to be successful on the business development side. But assuming you have that minimal level of competence so that you can understand a problem, understand the issues, and try and come up with a solution. I think and this just works for me. I think I've got a very loyal client base because clients generally know that when I come to them, I'm trying to understand what their goal is. I'm not trying to give them the legal framework, and I'm not trying to give them options. I'm trying to understand what their goal is. And then I work with the client to develop a strategy to get to that goal. One of the key things that people have to learn is how to give practical advice to clients and bring it down to a level that they understand. Because I found some lawyers can talk over their clients. Some lawyers aren't very good at listening to their clients. I'm friends with most of my clients. That's how I develop close relationships with a lot of my clients, because they know me. I don't see myself as above my clients. I see them as people. I see everybody as a person, and I try and deal with people on their terms and understand what they need and what they're looking for. And even when I'm dealing with opposing counsel, right? You have to understand what their needs are and how can we try and work together to get the outcome that my client is looking for.
Tell us, who would be a colleague of yours in the industry that you would consider one of your adversaries, most feared, most respected, whatever. You can name more than one, and don't give us a political.
Get rid of the political BS. We want to hear a real story.
Yeah.
So I think that the answer to that question, it's easy there are a ton of good counsel in the insolvency bar. That's one thing I will say. The counsel in our bar, they're very close. You can trust them because, and it's not a big bar. It's expanded, but it's not a big bar. Everybody sort of knows who everybody is. I'll also say that, when I think about my adversaries, so to speak, that's changed over my career. When I first started, I was doing more consumer insolvency. So I was dealing with people like Brandon Jaffe and Fred Taylor and Miles O'Reilly.
And you didn't want to go in the courtroom against them. I know you didn't.
Well, I'll tell you, Miles was one of the guys I feared the most because he was really good. He was very good in front of a judge. And he could be very intimidating. So earlier in my career, I'd say he was a guy that was a really good lawyer and someone that I had to be very careful with whenever I was tangling with him. I mean, nowadays there's all, like, a lot of those people that I mentioned are still out there. I have files going with guys like Harvey Chayton, with Bob Thornton. So
Sanj, just so you know, that the first and second interview was Harvey and Thornton. So
why am I third?
So those
was my number one.
And you didn't even know that. I want to be very clear that you did not even know that. So that's a perfect segue into this conversation. And I love the fact that you say, why am I 30? Because that's exactly what I would say.
It's okay, saving the best for last.
Perfect.
That's the other thing you would probably say, right, Alan?
100%, Sanj, 100%. So Sanj, tell me my favorite part of this entire thing, like, and again, thank you to Stella, because this is 100% Stella's brainchild. And I've gone along for the ride, and 100% the thing that I have enjoyed most is asking this question. Tell me a story.
Hold on, my internet is breaking up a little bit.
Tell me a story of your most memorable case.
I was not prepped with this question.
I know you weren't.
So I'm going to actually talk more about, it's not a pure insolvency case, but it was a shareholder fight. And frankly, for the life of me, I can't remember what the company did any longer, but I know that this was like a crazy fight because my client had bought out the debt and security from the lender, from a Schedule A bank. And we were trying to negotiate a resolution with the other two partners. It wasn't happening. And then BLG was involved in this file. Howard Manis was involved in this file. There were some other people. Anyway, so what happened was, so we get instructions to enforce. And so I'm giving Howard a heads up that I'm going to be enforcing the security. And this is a very contentious matter. He's like, fine, I'm bringing an injunction to stop you. And so I say, well, you do whatever you want to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to have to do. So I'm getting materials prepared. Then I'm told that Howard has arranged an injunction motion returnable. This is on a Friday. He's arranged an injunction motion on the Monday morning. And the way these usually go, you're supposed to, like, they bring the injunction motion, then everybody works out terms of the order, right? And we're going to go and deal with it. Well, holy cow. I didn't want to do that. I said, forget that. We're not going to work out terms of a Mareva injunction. We're going to go fight it. So we worked the entire weekend so that we could have responding materials ready on the initial return of the motion. So we did that. The judge, when we showed up, is looking at us like, we're really arguing an injunction. And because we served 30 minutes before we were in front of the judge, because you used to do that back then on the commercial list. It was a wild west. Things have changed since then. I slept about 10 hours that week. I had 10 lawyers from our firm working on our side, and I had two other firms that we were fighting with. I always used to take pride in the fact that, you know what, if you want to like try and jam me, I'm going to work twice as hard, and we're gonna you want to dance? We're going to dance. That's fine. I'm not going to get outworked. I'm going to be ready. And if you want to push me this hard, I'm going to push you right back, and then we'll see where we get to. Ultimately, after about $300,000 in legal fees on our part spent within a week, ultimately I defeated the injunction, and we were able to get a receiver appointed, and Bob's your uncle. At the end of the day, we were successful and we got paid out. So now we took control of the company.
I like that. That's a good story.
It's a war. It's a war story, right? But you put me on the spot. I mean, I can tell you other stories about how I acted on the personal side for this one lady who, because I felt bad for her. It was a law firm that was opposing her discharge, and she had no money. She scraped together $300 to pay for legal fees to go to a discharge hearing. Wow. I felt bad for her, and I went before Justice Jarvis, and I had spent the entire day the day before prepping her because I knew she was going to get cross-examined. I knew that it was going to be a trial because the law firm on the other side that was opposing her wasn't going to back down. And I got her absolute discharge. And at the end of the day, she actually hugged me and thanked me. And that was probably one of the nicest feelings I had, because I knew that she couldn't have otherwise afforded to get a real insolvency lawyer to help her. But, that was a rewarding thing for me, because I really like the fact I was able to help that lady out.
How can someone find you? Give yourself a plug.
So if you want to reach me, you can get me at Aird and Berlis, 181 Bay Street. My number is 416-865-3085, or smitra@airdberlis.com.
Sanj, thank you so much. Very much appreciate you being part of this. And until next time.
Thanks very much, guys. Have a great one.